We have a super exciting episode. I am flipping the tables and I am going to interview Katrina, who is the CEO, the co-founder, all the things here at Empowered to Profit. So Katrina, welcome to your first Profitable Pursuits episode.
Well, thank you. So nervous.
Oh,
I'm in the
not that
hot
long.
seat.
You are in the hot seat. So we're going to have a typical Profitable Pursuits episode, but I'm just flipping the table. I'm going to ask Katrina all the questions that I ask other business owners who have a profitable business because she fits the realm. So let's just jump into it. Why don't we start with at the top line, in order to have a profitable business, as we always say, it all comes in with clients. And if you can't attract clients, if you can't bring in revenue, it doesn't matter at all what you're doing down the line. So can you give us some tips, tricks? How at Empowered to Profit do you attract, retain, keep clients?
There's a lot involved in the background of all of those things, and it's not an easy answer, but I think, top line to kind of brush it over, if we had one brush stroke, is that it's always an action item. Always. We're always hitting it and we're always assessing what that means. So we're constantly on Google, we're constantly in Meta, we're constantly on socials and LinkedIn. And not only are we on it, we're actively on it, and we're monitoring what we're doing, how it's being represented in the business. So is this working? Is it not working? Do people like this? Do people not like that? And then in terms of clients, right, coming down our funnel or coming, down our process of how we get them into our world, how we close them, how we engage with them, how we keep them, all of that, it's just a forever self-assessment of, yes, people like that, people don't like that, people are upset about this with who they're currently working with, so we're going to do this instead so they're happy. So I think that's given us the best results so far.
Yeah. So if I was to summarize, do you think you attract clients through socials and through Google search, and then you're just constantly evaluating what message works or doesn't work?
Right. And staying true to your message.
Yeah.
So it's like a very fine line of having to being able to pivot to find the right fit, but not so far pivoting that you just lost your whole audience.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, let's jump into profitable businesses. Let's just share the details. Why do you have a profitable business? What makes Empowered to Profit profitable? Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness that's profitable, but it is not luck. It is not happenstance. We did not fall into this situation because we got lucky. There's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of intentional work. There's a lot of sacrifice and motivation when you don't feel like being motivated. And so on the one side, it doesn't really have an option not to work for us because we both have families, we're both very busy, we both have big goals. And so if we're doing all the things and it's still not working after doing all the things, then we preach all the time, it's not even worth it. So that's one of the biggest reasons, is because it has to, right? It just doesn't make sense.
It's not an option.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an option. Do you think it's also fair to say that we have a profitable business because we are in the business doing the work, and we don't just stand and outsource and expect a team or hire everyone just because it sounds good? It's profitable because we work in the business.
Yeah. And not only are we working in the business, we're always making sure we're relevant in the business, and what we are teaching, preaching, teaching, doing, not only is it relevant, but is it making a difference in the client's world, in their life, in their family's life? If what we're teaching, preaching, doing, is that making a difference in our students' lives? Is it actually applicable? Because that's one of the good things, is that we are in the business. We are very busy. We're both mothers and we're doing all these things. So we are able to articulate, this is a garbage piece of information. Nobody's going to apply that. Maybe it's fluff. It doesn't really add value. And so I think that's something that has really worked for us, in terms of retaining clients and helping the bottom line is that what we're doing adds value and people appreciate that. And if you provide something that gives people value or makes people's lives easier, they're willing to pay for that, which makes a business profitable.
Yeah, we've even had advice where we need to stop giving so much value and action and a little bit more fluff and story. And we're like, okay, but like this is the actual thing you have to do, and we don't need to take 10 years to get there.
Yeah, yeah, it's important to us for sure.
Absolutely. The people who are watching this, they're starting new businesses, they're growing new businesses, they're trying to scale. What advice would you give to someone who's in that new growth scaling phase? Like, what is your like one thing? Hey, if you could just do this, you'll see a difference.
Oh, one thing. There's so many things. I mean, in terms of like personality and all of that is endurance, because there are times that suck and you don't want to do this anymore and you don't like it and it's not fun and it looks like it's not working right now. And so it's so much easier just to go back to a W-2 and get the paycheck, have the health insurance. It's not worth the fight. So if you can get through mentally those days, those moments, those weeks, maybe even months of getting lost and kind of feeding into that, if you can keep your brain straight and keep your purpose on point and just keep doing what you're doing, even though it's hard right now, it's hard for everyone who's ever been successful. If you can stay on that track, then once you get to the other side of that, valley or whatever you want to call it, it's a million times worth it and something you can be proud of. And in terms of being able to apply something, I think it's important to be an expert in your industry, know your lane, and stay in it. Don't try and seep out into all of these things that maybe are relatable to your business that you could tack on as like an additional service, or like I could, throw some value over here because I kind of heard this one speech on it, this one time 3 years ago. It tends to water down your value of your business, and it can get real dicey real quick. And people will call you out on it and it looks real bad. So know your lane, stay in it, and do it well, and constantly be educating yourself about that lane because things change.
That's what, like, I just love what we do and how long we've been doing it, because it's the same dang message. Like, get a paycheck. You're not doing this for free. Collect a paycheck. I think we're going into 6 years of saying the same thing and not watering it down. And
Yep.
that's why we can just reach so many more people.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it feels almost a little silly doing this interview because we're like teaching the things that we preach about as our service, but really it works. It's working for us personally. And then we see it working in the lives of clients and students. So it's not a gimmick. It's not a trick. It's a true passion that we have of trying to get the message out. Like you can do this, you can make money, but you have to do it in the right way and read all of the writing on the wall and not just ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things I've seen in 2023 on social in this entrepreneurship game is people are like the ping pong ball. They're going after the next hot thing, just hoping something will work. Where if you just like stayed in your lane and did what like you're really good at, what you're an expert at, you'll go so much further.
Yep.
You'll go so much further. I have another one that I want to pivot. Do you think, so in our business, we get paid the first of the month. Like that's what we've always done. That's how we get paid. Do you notice a shift in your mood when you get paid in the first of the month versus the last, like, I mean, let's say the 23rd when we're shooting this. Mm-hmm. So it's been 23 days and 22 days since we got a paycheck. Do you notice a mood enhancement when you get paid versus like, okay, I'm getting tired, I'm getting burnt out as a month goes on?
I think that's fair to say yes, especially at busy times of the year for us, because I am in so many of those clients' books and seeing sometimes it is crazy, sometimes it is chaos, sometimes they forget to tell you something, and now we're 6 months down the road and having to fix that, right? The reality of the business, is that sometimes it gets wild. And it's very easy to be like, I haven't even made any money in weeks. What am I doing? I've been working X amount of hours a week and there's nothing to show for it. And I think that is getting easier with time for me though, because it was almost like a mind shift of coming out of a W-2 of like every 2 weeks or every Friday, you get your paycheck. And even if that wasn't amounting to, what we're making now or the other way around,
It's a
you get,
dopamine hit.
yeah, it's a dopamine hit and you are used to getting what you always got in time of reference, but I don't hate it either though. And I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
because I'm getting used to it, like you plan for it
Mhm.
and it is what it is. And stuff like that is, I think, really easy to get caught up on and almost like accept the frustration of it, which can be certainly at times, but it is how it is. And the money's coming in 10 days. And so like soldier up and move forward kind of situation. But I think that just comes with the entrepreneurial spirit, right? Of they're different kind of people, and
I think because I know I feel that way too, where I'm like, okay, I'm getting tired, and then I get the dopamine hit. And it works for our business, how we get paid. But I want to like recommend to other people, if you're feeling kind of like I feel, where you're like, oh my gosh, reevaluate when and the consistency of your paycheck from your business.
Yep.
Like we have some clients who get paid every week.
Every week. Yep.
We have others who's every 2. We have some who are monthly like we are. So
Yep.
if you feel like that energy shift, I bet you could take it back to the last time you got paid.
Yep.
Right. And if
something, it's a little bit different from the payment conversation, but something that really helps me as well is when you're running the business and when you're doing things in the business on top of running the business, you can kind of get lost in like, I'm doing what needs to be done now. And I'm always just like next thing, hitting it. When I look back, because I like to track what I'm doing daily, when I look back at what I've done the past 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have done so many things. I've created so many SOPs or have, worked with this person, gone through all of these things that we've come out on the other side of. So I think having, as an entrepreneur, being able to keep track of what you're doing, how much time you're investing in each task, and then being able to look back and say, I've done all these. I can't believe it's only been 2 weeks. I've done so much in 2 weeks. Like I've gotten so far. It also helps give you that dopamine hit of productivity, of things moving forward, of progress.
For sure. This is my favorite question that I ask guests on this show. If you were to build the business that we have today in half the amount of time, which I can't even fathom doing it in half the amount of time because we are kicking butt. But if you had to do it in half the amount of time, like how would you go about it?
So this is a really easy question for me because as vital as our, I don't know, I don't want to like spill too much tea here, but as vital as our socials are to our business, and that's where our ads are, like all of the things social. I am an introvert at heart and a very private person. So in terms of all things social, putting things on social media, being the, even though it's not always the look at me person, it feeling like I'm being look at me, look at what we're doing, look at what we've done. That it was a very hard, and I'm still learning how to get better and more comfortable with it. But that was a very hard shell for me to break out of. And, we have personally, you and I have those conversations all the time. Like, I just struggle with it. It's a hard thing for me. I feel awkward. I feel weird. And my natural response is to hold everything tight, close. And so if I could do one thing over, it'd be the social media and the networking. There's so much power in networking. And we've said it a million times I don't know who should we give credit to for this, but your network is your net worth, right? Like that's the famous saying. And there's so much truth to that. And that's such an easy thing to say, but the reality of walking that out is very intense in terms of dedicating your time, your energy, working to network, whether it be in person, online, socials, whatever that looks like for you. It takes so much intention, and it really can dictate the path and how fast that path is going upwards on a graph in terms of revenue goals. So I would highly recommend to not underestimate marketing, networking, talking to everyone, everywhere, letting people know what you're doing, how you're doing it, the success, get the reviews anywhere and everywhere. That was one thing that I'm like, oh gosh, I lost all that time in the beginning because I was just being so embarrassed or, like fear, just like it's not my normal jive.
Yeah. I remember my mom just shared a story. She was out to eat with some extended family and they're like, oh, they all call me Cheryl Lynn. Oh, I see Cheryl Lynn's business and blah, blah, blah. And my mom goes, yeah, I'm a little embarrassed. She was, all over Facebook. And she goes, but it's working for her. And this woman, extended family, she goes, I think it's so cool. And I just want to like encourage people. It's awkward until you're just like, it's so cool. And the amount of like random people who show up and are like, I think what you do is really cool. Thanks for like showcasing that.
Yep.
And the other takeaway I have, it kind of came when I moved, like, and I had this realization, it's always awkward until it's comfortable. And you can't get comfortable until you just do it a couple times.
Oh, it's so true in so many ways, so many areas.
In so many ways. Like for me, that was like showing up to a gym. But it could be showing up to a network event. Like it's so awkward. You don't know what to say. You don't know where to sit until it's not. But you can't get until it's not until you do it.
Yep. Yep. And it's part of that journey where it's like, it really sucks today. And this is really hard and it doesn't feel good. I feel like an idiot, and it's important to remember nobody's looking at you as much as you think they're looking at you, right?
True.
We're the center of all of our own universe, so you might think everybody's like, oh my goodness, did you see her story? Like she thinks she's Miss Thang, over there doing her little accounting agency. Like it doesn't matter, first of all. And no one's really looking, the people who are supposed to be looking, the clients who are looking because they're interested, you're doing the right thing. Yeah. And second is, and I want to be careful with this, oftentimes we're judged by people who we don't want their life anyway. So we're holding ourselves to these standards of people where if you look at it logically and step aside and look at it from the outside, you don't want their life. And so it's like we're judging ourselves by these standards that we don't want to be judged by anyway. And so when you look at it from that angle too, it comes back to, it doesn't matter. I'm just doing my thing, doing my life. It's working. It's about the business. It's about my family. It's about the clients. And this is the world I'm living in. Everybody else is responsible for their thing. Yeah. So that's helped.
It does. And we're at a point in I can't believe 6 years. I'm going to say it 1,000 times because I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of what we do on social and the way we show up and the way that we haven't ping-ponged and we just like keep improving our craft, keep improving our client experience. That's so important to us. We're always looking for ways to improve that, how we can improve education products. I'm really proud of us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been really fun, really exciting.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's end it on kind of carry it to the next note. I love the internet. I think you get to meet people you wouldn't normally get to meet. You get to have conversations with people that you never would have met. And it also gives you an opportunity to like be inspired, right? Like people do some really cool things. And because they share it, it like teaches you to be inspired to go after the next big thing. So Katrina, what is your next big goal? Like, what's that like scary, like, this is what I'm working towards goal?
So in terms of the business, the next big goal is to have $1 million year. right? How super fun, super exciting, it's achievable. And I think one of the most, in terms of defining what that looks like, is there's lots of businesses who are $1 million+ businesses, but that means they've, accumulated that over time. I would love for Empower to Profit, Team Profit, to do $1 million a year. I think that is like the next goal that we should shoot for.
I love that because it's not about you and I putting $1 million in our pocket. It's what that $1 million represents and lives impacted and families changed and the team it takes to support those teams so they can do that. It's such a ripple effect. When people stay in business because of they got their finances in order, the number of calls we've had in that regard, or the people who can now confidently employ someone else responsibly,
Right.
because they know when the right time is. That's what it represents. That's why I
Yep.
love it so much.
Yeah. And we obviously really believe this because we are dedicating our lives, taking away from our families to do this, that we believe in the mission so much that it's even more like the more you grow, the more it expands in terms of quickness, speed, right? And so that's what's exciting to me about the growth is like, obviously more money is always super exciting. Yes, of course, but it's a bigger picture than that. Like you said, it's the more you grow, the faster the message gets out and the faster that trickles back down to the business owner of changing their personal life. Yeah.
Yeah, that snowball effect.
Yeah.
For sure. Creates those ripples. Well, I want to thank you for letting me put you in the hot seat of profitable pursuits. I know this is going to be a special one for our audience. We don't get to do this enough. And thanks for hanging out with me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show.
See you on Slack.